OKCJJ. It is now time for Rex Brandstatter's Senior Talk, brought to you by the Solon American Legion, Senior Benefits, and Walden Place Senior Living. Hello, Rex.
Good afternoon, Molly. A nippy one here. It is just a little bit, if it's past nippy, folks, it's cold. It's darn cold out there. Well, listen, thank you so much. It's time for Senior Talk. Greetings and welcome from Rex right here at Senior Talk at good old KCJJ. My pleasure to be here today, and we're going to do our very best to see if we can't crank some things up and might just help you. So it's a great day to be here and be with you. And as always, it's a great day to be a senior. Now, it's a great day to be a senior. Don't waste your time wishing you were younger, because it's not going to happen. So go straight forward with me as a senior, and we'll enjoy it and do our very best while we're at it. Well, hello, and thanks for taking time out of your busy day to listen to Senior Talk. And I just think that today is a great day just to sit back and maybe not rush outside to do a few things, and to take a little for granted here that it's going to be cold, and so why bother, huh? Well, just be careful if you go out, because it is cold. But guess what? A guy just told me when I said, boy, it's a little nippy today. And he said, well, Rex, it's Iowa and it's February. So he hit the nail on the head. It is cold, so be it. All right. Take care. Well, I'm going to do my best this week, as every week, to bring a lot of important things that I deem might be worth of consideration for you, and or maybe some of your family members or friends, or other people acquaintances you may know that maybe. Say you might have heard this on Senior Talk, or since I heard this on Senior Talk, maybe think of something else. That's what this program is designed to do. My name is Rex Brandstatter. I'm 75 years old, and I'm a real estate broker and have been since 1974. And I work mostly with seniors. I work with executors of estates. I work with administrators of estates. CPAs call me, attorneys call me, trust departments of banks call me to deal with real estate, different things, mostly for seniors. That's where I prefer to work. Not that I don't work with others, but I prefer to work with seniors, and I work at it. I know for the most part, and I certainly wouldn't say I know everything. I don't ever want to say that out loud, but I know a lot of things that pertain to seniors and are germane to seniors, and help you and your family. Or maybe there's an estate going on and you need a real estate agent. You can give me a call. And I have a senior line, which is 319-330-5534. 330-5534. And at this time, I just recommend you grab yourself a nice cold root beer and a sandwich to sit back and to see what we can put together. And I would just say to you, hang on. This weather is almost over. You know, a week ago, we had no snow on the ground, and we were feeling pretty darn good, but we all knew it was going to cave in. We all knew that was a house of cards, and it's not normal to have no snow on the ground in January. We all know that. We all knew that. So here came this little snowstorm that we got, and it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't fun, but biologically speaking, why it's good for everybody, I guess. Sure good for the body and fender guys who needed a little shot in business there. They got it, I'm sure of that. So one man's snowstorms, the other man's a gold rush, so be it. So in my opinion, we've kind of bottomed out. Is what the Channel 9 guys say. Channel 7 guys say the same thing. This week is the bottoming out, and we should be going uphill from here, and it looks like that's going to happen. So hang on, folks. We'll do what we can to hang on until it gets warmer. I was thinking, when I was a kid, and we'll say in high school, when you kind of become cognizant of a lot of things with cars, and on cold mornings like we've had, you would see all kinds of people with the hoods up on their cars. You remember that? You drive down the street, and if you got your car started, lucky you might be asked to jump someone else in your family's car. They call it jump, get battery cables. A guy down the street, maybe you got the hood up, and you stop and you jump him with your car, type of thing like that. You would also hear motors running, and there'd be a couple gas station guys around. They all seem to have a pickup truck with a starter mounted on the back. They'd come and jump your car for, back then it was probably $10 or $5 or something like that, and then later on, it got higher than that, I assume, and it was a good cash business for them. No more power to them. But now, I could not tell you the last time I saw somebody jumping a car. You sure don't see it like we used to when all the cars just had carburetors. And now, of course, most of these cars have, almost all of them, well, most of them have electronic ignition, which has taken away a lot of the carburation issues that we used to have in flooding the car. When was the last time you flooded a car? My old GTO, I can flood that out. Got to be careful there because that's the old system. But other than that, you just don't see on a cold day. You don't see those guys, and it's a good thing. That's some new inventions with the electronic ignition. I don't know when that started. I'm thinking it started with the Mopar, with the Chryslers and things like that in the '60s. I'm thinking that, but I'm not totally positive on that. I have to ask my friend Tom out at the Eastern Iowa Antique Auto Museum. As a matter of fact, he would know. He knows lots and lots of stuff like that. When that would have started, I just think it's a pretty good step forward that we've all taken to with some of the inventions that they come around with, that we don't have to worry about things like that anymore. So one thing I wanted to talk to you here a little bit about today is we had our annual visit, sometimes more than one visit, to a CPA yesterday, and my wife put together all the tax information, expenses reports, and things like that, and never my funnest day of the world, but we don't have the report back yet, but I think things are looking pretty good. In other words, as a self-employed, we paid all our quarterly, so we shouldn't worry about things, we hope. But just a little shot across the bow here that you need to take if you're thinking about your income taxes. Don't forget to file. But I always encourage people to take all the legal deductions you can. I didn't say illegal ones, legal deductions. And, the government gives you a million legal deductions. They're never as broad or as liberal as I want them to be. But if you don't take them, they don't care. And if you do take them, they'll slap you on the wrist if you take them too broad or things you weren't supposed to take. So just a little shot across the bow here. Make sure that you can sit down and you can call your CPA. You can Google lots of things like routine tax deductions for the homeowner, small business person, owner, things like that. Take them. Because if you don't, you'll lose, and the government's not going to call you back. Say you forgot to take this one or that one. That just doesn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're working on your taxes, please take the time and look things up before you get there. The more questions you ask, the better off you are. It costs you money to visit these guys anymore, these ladies anymore. So do your homework. It's your income, your money you're dealing with here, your chips, as they would say in the game. So do it and do it right. So then when you're all done and you sign it, you've played according to Hoyle. Don't worry about the next guy or anybody you read in the paper about did this or did that or more write-ups for this group or that group. It's all in the code, folks. It's all in the code that was passed by somewhere along the line, the legislature. So we're going to go forward, but get to work on your taxes, and we won't talk about other taxes. We worry about those right now. So it comes to my mind that a lot of people just don't pay a lot of attention to their money, and I'm not a money advisor. I'm not here for that. But I was reading in the paper the other day, somebody had CDs for 4.5, and just maybe a month ago, they were telling me it was 3%, 3.25. So interest, maybe the CD rates are coming back up, which is a good thing for seniors, because a lot of seniors tend to have money in CDs. So you might want to check your CD rates, and you always want to know when your CDs are coming due. And if the bank says they're going to notify you and they don't worry about it. That's not their fault. It's your fault for not checking up on it. So please, folks, you worked hard to get that money, and you should work just as hard and as diligent to manage your money. And I had a couple questions this week, and here's what the question is. If you're working towards retirement, I assume you are. You're retired or working towards retirement, one or the other. A law was passed in 1983. It is the gradual income for full benefits of Social Security. Now, nobody thought this up in the last year. Nobody thought this up in the last 6 weeks or the last 30 days or the last 10 years. 1983. And it was passed by Congress, meaning and a president at that time signed it, that increases the age for full benefits. Now, in the Social Security business, it's called FRA, full retirement account, full retirement. And that's FRA, your full retirement age. And that's the age that what you can take full benefits. Now, that means the benefits that you work towards. That means that they won't, when you get FRA, your full retirement age, you can take in the money for your Social Security and also have a part-time job, and they don't take money out of your part-time job. Excuse me, they do, but they don't penalize you. They take the normal rate out. They just don't penalize you for that. But if you make more than that, if you retire under your FRA, your full retirement age, and then you have a job, they will take more than that. It's a pretty good. It's a 2-to-1 kind of a rate, so you'll lose some Social Security benefits. It's kind of sticky wicket there, so just be careful. So, depending on your birth year, so all goes back to your birth year, is how they figure out how long you have to work and things like that. If you're born in 1959, it's 66 years and 10 months. No longer 65. This thing was all set up, if you recall, if you remember from your civics class or history class, it was all set up at about, the FDR was president, so 1936, 37, they set this voluntary program up. Old Age and Assistance Program, it was called. Old Age and Assistance Program, because 65 was on the outer limits of how long people lived back then, for the most part. So if they set the age of 65, there wouldn't be a lot of people reach that age to collect the money. Well, a lot of people blown right past that due to better health, better foods, a combination of better health, better foods, better exercises, better doctors, all those medicine, all those kind of things. So the average age lifespan now is in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s for both men and women. So as you can see, that's well past the 65. So in 1983, they saw this handwriting on the wall and they started to raise it. So now, if you were born in 1959, it's 66 years and 8 months. And if you're born in 1960, it's 67. So you see how that's kind of going. And when they do that, when they do that, that means that they don't pay out as many benefits, which is kind of what the system needs right now, so to speak. I don't know that that's the answer, but that's what they passed in 1983. So it all depends on the year you were born, is when your FRA, your full retirement age. Now, I'm not retired, but my FRA, when I was born in 1949, was 66 years and 2 months. So if I filed before that, I got the reduced benefits. If I waited until that day or that time, I got the full benefits that I was supposed to get. And then if you waited longer than that, they added 8% a year to it. So I decided to take the 8% a year. So I waited till I was 70, so I got 32% more. Now, you take Social Security A when you want it or A when you need it. It's your choice. You just have to know the rules therein, and there are several. There's rules on divorce. There's rules on being divorced for 10 years, and think maybe you could collect on your ex. You can do that. Well, where's that, Rich? You can be divorced 10 years and not have it filed for Social Security, and you can collect even if you file. I guess you can collect on your ex. Like say your ex-husband makes a lot more in Social Security than you do. You can step up and get more if you've been divorced for 10 years or more. So you need to contact Social Security. Just Google Social Security on your computer machine, or go to the Social Security office in Coralville and sit down and have a talk with them. That's what you need to do. It's very important that you do that. It's very important that you understand the FRA, the full retirement age, so you don't retire 2 months early or a year early when you didn't think you wanted to. You just did it for the heck of it. You need to know the rules of Social Security, because Social Security is the one retirement benefit that won't go away. Now, I say knock on wood on that. In my opinion, it's never going to go away. They're just going to have to make some adjustments here pretty soon. As you can tell by reading the newspapers and things like that, they're looking into, they've found supposedly hundreds and thousands of people who are on the list getting Social Security that are dead, and that's probably always been the case, but this is a huge issue, so a lot of things going on. So they're going to figure this out sooner or later, that is for sure, before it runs out of money. So it's all Social Security. This is due to a question I got, is when's the best time to retire? The answer to that is you can retire anytime you want, but when is the best question to take Social Security? That becomes a science. And I mean that wholeheartedly. That becomes a science. Sit down with your accountant when you do your taxes and have that talk with him or her and say, you were thinking about this is going to be my last year of work. I'm going to retire when I'm 66. What do you think? And they will tell you about the full retirement age. Very, very important. So that's a good thing to think about. So can you be liable for the debt of a spouse or another person? Can you be liable for the debt of a spouse or another person? Well, the answer is possibly, and I'm not an attorney, but here's the case in point. A friend of mine's wife passed away, unfortunately, and so that wasn't a highlight. That was a terrible thing. And as things sort of settled down and he started working on things in the checkbook and things like that, he discovered that his wife had an account and she was buying things in that and on a different charge account, and she owed $30,000, right at $30,000. And that account was in her name. He said, well, what do I do? I guess I have to pay that. And I said, I don't know if you do or not. So I said, I want you to talk to your accountant. Because A, because I can't answer that. B, it's well worth checking it out. Okay, and so I read this thing called Debt After Death. Know what you owe and what you don't. He says almost everyone dies owing at least some kind of debt, for sure. Sometimes it's only last month's ordinary bills or the final medical expenses. But there can be some shocking surprises for survivors. Whoa. Debts unknown to children and even to the spouse, in this case, the spouse. The heirs might discover large credit card balances, undisclosed home equity loans, or gambling debts. And I happen to know people who have left the world with all of those to their spouse. Creditors are entitled to payments from money and property, in other words, the estate, that your loved one left behind. But what if he or she didn't leave enough to get everyone repaid? Can the creditors come after you? Sometimes yes and sometimes no. With loans secured by property, that'd be your house, such as a mortgage, an heir, your husband would have inherited his wife's half, has to keep up the monthly payments or sell the property. That's pretty common knowledge. Okay, unsecured loans such as credit card debt and student loans are another matter. Your liability, you're the survivor now, your liability depends very much on the nature of the bill, the type of property, and your state's laws. But here's what could happen. Some money is protected. At death, unsecured creditors cannot collect from life insurance payments you might get or pay on death bank or brokerage accounts, jointly held property that passes right to the husband or right to the wife, or the surviving owner, or retirement plans like a 401 or an IRA that have named beneficiaries. So if you're 401, you've got your wife's name on the beneficiary, and you pass away, it's going to go to her. The creditor can't get to that because it's in her name. On the other hand, if the husband passes away and or if the wife passes away and names the husband as the beneficiary, W.C. Field called it the bean fishery one time. The benefit, you're safe, but only if they are handled by right. And it says by right, that means the deceased filled out a beneficiary form for each account, naming the people who were to inherit. If this step was skipped, the funds will be paid into the estate where they can be used to satisfy creditors. So you see what happens here now. You decide to, you've got your little antique business here, and you decide to get yourself a little credit card and call it Betty's Antique Company, and you buy different things online or this and that. And now Betty is gone, and Betty has an unsecured debt. They can't come and get it. So look out. So I want you to take hold of that, to have a little talk. Maybe when you're down talking to your CPA or your attorney doing your taxes, if Betty didn't name a beneficiary there, they can come and get it. If she said something happens to me, then it goes over there. So just look out. Do your homework on your signature matters. If you signed a joint application for a credit card, you owe the balance, even you didn't know how high it had grown. So you and your wife, or you and your husband, or whoever you apply for a credit card with, if you signed a joint application for a credit card, you owe the balance even if you didn't know how high it had grown. This guy didn't even know she had it, and now he's $30,000. He didn't sign it, so he's working through that right now. If you were merely an authorized user, most states don't require you to pay. Wow, isn't this interesting stuff? So here he was, my friend Bob, we'll call him, was just working away in life. His wife had been ill many times and had a lot of problems. So lo and behold, she is gone with a $30,000 debt, and he's scratching his head. So I didn't even know about it, which he honestly did. So that's the scoop. All right. Well, that's not good. That's not good. That's just not good at all. So credit card debt, as you know, can be smothering. Your HELOC, your home equity loan line of credit, will not go away without attention. So we're talking little debt things here, not something to have at retirement age if you did not actually plan on it. Credit card debt can be smothering. The home equity loan line of credit will not go away without attention. Some don't want it to go away until they're gone and the property is sold. So your plan was to borrow some money against your house to buy your camper or buy your new pickup truck or do something like that, and you borrowed $50,000 against the equity in your home. That's debt, and you still have to pay that off until you sell the house or the property. And sometimes that happens when Mr. Smith passes away. Then Mrs. Smith sells the house, moves to Arizona, wherever but the case may be. That's when you would normally pay off that line of debt. So there's just a lot of things that can happen here. As seniors, we can't plan on anything, and nobody can plan on anything for tomorrow, we hope. But that's the scoop. So pay some attention. I got this all on my mind since I was at the tax guy yesterday. So a senior lady tells me, quote, "We think our older house is showing its age. Furnace works and AC worked last summer, but both need to be updated. We assume that it will cost $15,000 to get both of them new. So $15,000 should get us a new air conditioner and new furnace. Is that right, Rex?" And I said, "Well, you're probably in the right range these days, I would guess." She said, "We have the money, but like everyone else, we seem to want to save it." Well, that's what we seniors have done all along our lives. It's just because of our age. We are taught to, for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, make money and save money. Be careful what you spend it on, and when you spend it on, get the best value. I think even zillionaires want to get the best value. So she said, "I don't know what do you think we should do?" I said, "Number one," I started laughing. I said, "This is your house, for God's sakes." So I said, "You should have the best furnace and the best air conditioner that you can afford. Whatever you can afford, to talk to your HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning system. Talk to your HVAC guy and have him come look at your house and give you an idea of what it's going to cost." And I would get two and get both explanations, not just the price, but both explanations. You need a 60,000 BTU, you need a 5 SEER, you need a 80,000 BTU, you need a 7 SEER type of thing. That's for air conditioning. Whatever they recommend, and then you can figure it out. And when they come to your house, they have to walk around and measure your house for the square footage. That's how the real pros do it, not just, it's going to cost you $15,000. You got to know you've got to buy what's going to be do the best job, the best job for your money, for sure. Okay, you don't just put in a gigantic one for a small house because it's bigger. It doesn't really work that way. It's got to be efficient, and they know how to measure all that stuff. So I told her, I want you to call 2 HVAC companies. First of all, I said, I hope your furnace makes it through the winter, and you don't have to do one when it's cold. But I said, in the spring, there's a nice gap in there in the spring. When it's warm enough, you really don't need air conditioning, and you don't need a furnace. And I said, that's when you should have them come out, do all their testing, and then you should put it in, get the air conditioning going, and then the furnace. Okay, that's what you could do, and that's what you need to do, folks. Don't delay, and don't chintz out on it for sure. Get it. I forgot. This is your house. Don't you just lay awake at night and think, "Oh boy, I heard the furnace kick on," especially the last 5 or 6 nights. Boy, it's reassuring to hear that furnace kick on. Not only because it's putting out heat, but good golly, it's getting a little chilly in here. I hope the furnace is working. I know you've said that a couple times in the last few days. We only have a couple of days left of this baloney, and then it's going to start to warm up. So I thought that was a pretty good answer to her. I really don't know how much it costs, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you need a furnace and an air conditioner, you could be talking a lot of money. Now, and your furnace is going to last many, many years, so if you extrapolate that back over, it's going to last 20 years, and they say it's going to cost $10,000. Well, see, that's $500 a year. That's what, $600, $400 a month for your furnace. Well, that's pretty cheap living. You got to heat your fanny and cool your fanny, as my dad used to say. So no skimping there for sure. So get on that, folks. A senior man says this, my daughter uses a family provided credit card at college. I like this story. This one's fun. My daughter uses a family-provided credit card at college. He's a senior and got a daughter in college. That is true. We have some rules, he said. Her expenses only. Food, needs entertainment, for travel. He said it's pretty broad and it's not cheap, but she's my only daughter and I'm spoiling her. Mom and I are spoiling her. So she has a car we bought her at college. She put gas in it on our credit card. She can order a pizza on our credit card. She can buy her books, and she needs a new jacket on our credit card. And we have taught her the things of wants and needs. We've had that education and chat with her many, many times over the years. So we consider her to be very responsible. Now he says this, in deference to that. Now we see some expenses that sort of baffle us. A car repair on a car that's not hers. Groceries over and above what's going on. And she says she lives in a sorority. Are you starting to? I started laughing. You're starting to smell a rat. And he says, I think maybe we might be. He says, we think we have an issue. And she said, what can we do? And I said, well, hello. You and your wife, you and Mom have gone. The same seems to me like. Folks, I have no kids, so I can't relate to it too good, other than the expense side. And I can't say spoil a little bit because if I had a daughter, I'd probably do the same thing. I wouldn't be a bit surprised, and I would have had the discussions all their life about no, we don't need that, or yes, we can get that, but you probably don't need that, or you can get that, but you can get it down the street, the same thing for $26 less, type of thing. We would have had all those discussions. And it sounds to me like that these folks did. He says, now we have some issues. So he said, what's the best thing we should do? And I said, it's pretty easy what you should do. You've got the evidence in your hand. I said, go through the evidence again. And then next time you see your daughter, next time she's come home, or within the next couple of weeks, I think you need to have a call and say, yeah, well, we got the credit card bill. There's something on here for a repair to a Ford, blah, 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 and you have a Jeep type of thing. What's up with that? Well, that was my roommate. Her car quit. Cost $652, so I put it on that credit card, but her dad's going to pay us back. Well, at least you have an explanation, and you hope that's the scoop. So I said, you need to have, I don't know how many courses or what courses she's taken in college, but I said, I think you need to have a Home Expense 101 refresher course. And I think that's pretty good advice. I think that's fair advice. I really, really do. And from the girl's standpoint, she probably knew the rules, and decided her friend was in need, and her friend needed some fix and help, maybe get the car going to get home, and everything's on the up and up. I don't know about the groceries. That's none of my business. I can't really go there. But it sounds to me like this is the first time, and it sounds to me like there's something going on there that's probably not shady. I'm not going to say that. He said he doesn't think there is either, but he says, we were just kind of surprised. Reminds me of the deal with my friend who is an accountant, and he was a member of a local group that has a golf course. So I won't mention any names. And when you go there, you put things on your tab so they can send you a bill, things like that. That's the way they operate. That way they don't have to take cash. And so he had the same arrangement with his son, and his son, he said you could go there up to the bar area. Now, you can't sit at the bar as a kid. Up to the bar area where you order your food. You can get yourself a hamburger at noon and a Coke and chips and stuff like that. Well, pretty soon he's get 4 hamburgers on there, 3 hamburgers, 3 chips, and 4 Pepsis. And he says, what's going on here? He says, well, we had lunch. He said, what do you mean we? He said, well, Jimmy and I and Johnny and I had lunch. And he said, that account is my account at the Elks Club, if you will. That's what it was. He's not Jimmy's and not your buddy next door. That's my account. Nothing wrong with what you did other than it won't happen again. Is that right? Oh, yeah, Dad, I forgot. They didn't have any money, so that's not my problem. Their dad could have sent them some money with them to get a hamburger. But since I have an account, you just put it on there. You don't need the money. Okay. So you see, this does happen. It does go around. Just need a little refresher course, and all will go well. Well, was a little bit rushed coming here today. I was at a little continuing education class, and I was over at the Iowa City Airport for this class. They have an upstairs meeting room. It's where the Iowa City Airport Commission meets, if you've ever been there. And they have a nice little meeting room. If you ever want a nice little place for your company to have a little meeting room down there, you have to call the airport, and I don't know what it costs, but nice room. You can overlook the tarmac out there. A couple planes were coming and going, as a matter of fact. And so that's where I was, and so this next story sort of relates to that, but I didn't put the two and two together until I was actually driving here from the airport. That gee whiz, my little history story pertains to that. Well, guess what? I got the other night, middle of the night, I'm laying there, can't sleep, thinking about things, of course, and I hear a little airplane going over, and I don't mean a jet landing at Cedar Rapids. I mean a little private plane going over. All right, and I'm thinking, well, who in the heck's up there in the middle of the night? 10 below zero down here on the ground. I don't know how cold it is up there in the air, but let's say I don't know what he's flying at. Say he was flying at, I'm going to pick a number. I don't know what they fly. 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, something like that. I'm thinking, man, that would be cold up there. You got a heater, of course, but it's just not a good night to be out. As we can see on TV, the accident's going on. So in January 8th of 1920, no, that's 105 years ago. Early January 8th morning, on a group of Iowa City men gathered at the Benjamin's pasture on the south outskirts of Iowa City, which is right at where the Iowa City Airport is. It was cold, obviously. And the men built bonfires to keep warm as they waited for the arrival of the first historic airmail plane. It seemed that they waited forever. Now, this was 1920, January 8th, about the same time of year. Several hours passed, and the men were just about ready to extinguish the bonfires and go home when suddenly, out of the misty haze, probably snowy haze, they heard a droning sound and the roar of a biplane as it circled the pasture and landed. All right. The pilot's name was Howard K. Smith. Remember that when you were a kid? The reporter was Howard K. Smith. I don't know if he's related. I don't know. He said, but later on, the field down there in Iowa City was named the Howard K. Smith, for whom the field was later named, and who was later killed in a crash at Indianapolis. Anyhow, this gentleman Howard jumped from the open cockpit of the single-engine de Havilland biplane, which was a big name by then, and ran over to the bonfire to warm up. Well, you think? And they had a little lunch there, food there for him, and he visited with some Iowa City friends. So here's this guy. He came here from Chicago. The first leg of the extension of airmail from service from Chicago to Omaha had been completed, and that was here in Iowa City. So he flew from Chicago on his way to Omaha, and he stopped in Iowa City. And it was the only landing place in the state of Iowa, another first for Iowa City, as a matter of fact. The only landing place for airmail, first airmail in Iowa, was right here in Iowa City. In 1930, history publication said, he says, that he left Chicago at 8:29 in the morning, and the airmen reached Iowa City at 10:27 a.m. So apparently they had the bonfires going because it was so foggy back there, and it's just so he could see. All right, I get it. Thereby maintained a terrific speed, it says in cap, terrific speed of 120 miles an hour, which would have been wow. So over by DeKalb, Illinois, he encountered a blinding snowstorm. Now remember, folks, this is open cockpit is the story here. This is an open cockpit, so he would have had big gloves on and a leather helmet and goggles on. And he's flying him. He had to get down within 500 feet so he could see where it was, the cornfields were, and pick cornfields and stuff like that in Iowa and Illinois. So this guy, after warming up around the fire, he took off angling to the northwest and then immediately turned west and followed the Rock Island Railroad over to Omaha. Well, that seems logical. The train's going over there. Might as well just follow that because they didn't have any other digital deals at the time. Probably, I don't know. Probably had a compass, I would assume, but more than likely, I don't know. They might have had gas gauges by night. I don't know. I really don't know. Interesting. January 9th of 1920 by Howard K. Smith was the first time. On his return plane, his first time airmail to be dispatched from Iowa City. To get this is interesting. So he came back on his way back the next day. He stopped there, and he was headed back to Chicago. He took a live 10-pound pig with him, which had, true, only in Iowa, which had the distinction not only of being the first airmail out of Iowa City, but also the first livestock to be shipped from Iowa City to Chicago by air. And you can't make this stuff up. The pig was sent by a Robert Carson on East College Street, which is the present Alpha Phi sorority house, that big fancy Alpha Phi sorority house over there in the northeast corner of College Street. Interesting stuff. Isn't that interesting? He was sent to the proprietor of the Congress Hotel in Chicago, which was the Congress Hotel. The pig was properly decorated and became the befitting occasion of Sunday dinner at the hotel. It was not noted at the time that the pig was to be a mascot or part of a supper. As it turned out, a few days after arrival, the pig played an important part in the dinner, and it was attended by Eddie Rickenbacker, the ace American aviator. Wow! I just thought that was a hoot story. Just because I laid awake there in the middle of the night and heard all that. And then I was at the Iowa City airport today, which I didn't realize I was going to be there. I forgot I was going to be down location. So that's the same airport that's right south of Iowa City. I would tell you that part of the airport was over at that time. They did go down there about where the 4-H grounds are. That was all a part of that at the time. So pretty interesting. And they used those biplanes for sure. And what a rough way to go. And time marches on because, the Wright brothers. When did the Wright brothers first fly? Weren't they 1906? Were they 1904, 1905, 1906? Rings a bell to me from my history class of some sort. And here they are flying into Iowa City in 1910. The Wright brothers flew for 17 seconds or something. And just a mere 4 or 5 years later, they're flying from Chicago to Iowa City, and then from Iowa City back to Chicago with some, quote, freight, a pig. I don't know. Now, they also had a airplane landing area out by where it is now City High, because that's where the Johnson County Fairgrounds were, directly west of the present-day City High. Pretty interesting story. That was pretty interesting, too. So a lot of history here around Iowa City with airplanes. If you all remember, you've been around Iowa City Airport long enough, around Iowa City back in the 50s and early 60s. The United Airlines flew in and out of Iowa City Airport. Ozark had scheduled airlines. Both of them pick up passengers here. And then the demise of the Iowa City Airport was it became too small because Cedar Rapids had an airport, and they enlarged the Cedar Rapids Airport and took the flights away from Iowa City and figured you folks can drive to Cedar Rapids, which is not inopportune for sure. It's worked out great, which leaves the Iowa City Airport for routine business, university business, emergency services to the hospital, things like that. So kind of a big deal. At one time, the crowd was, when they brought another flight here, 10,000 people came to town by special trains and interurban and horse and buggies to see the planes land here. A lot of history just down at the little old Iowa City Airport. So that's kind of the story. I wanted to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, of this is not just for seniors. This is called a real ID, and that's on your driver's license. You need in the upper right-hand corner of your driver's license, you're going to need a star up there. That's called a real ID, and a real ID, you're going to need them, I think, by May of this year now. They changed it. How do I get a real ID card? You have to go to any driver's license service center, Iowa City, go up to Marengo, down to Washington, Muscatine, over to Cedar County and Tipton, anywhere you want to go. And you can do this. You have to take an official birth certificate, not the one with the baby footprints on it, or a valid passport, or your most recent U.S. citizenship and immigration services documents. That's one. You have to have a proof of a Social Security number, or W-2 or a 1099, and I'll get you more of this stuff. Proof of residency, huh? I'll take a utility bill or a credit card statement, or a piece of postmark mail with your name on it to show that you have a home. Proof of any legal name changes, all right, that you were Betty Smith and now you got married, you're Betty Smith Jones, or you're just Betty Jones. You have to take a copy of the marriage certificate if your last name has changed, a divorce decree including a name change, or court order under petition for a name change. So sounds wild, but all those things that you can find out more about a real ID and get a customized list of documents at iowa.gov, and fish your way around through there. It's called a real ID. And if you want to stop down to the driver's license place, they've got brochures down there to help you do that. And here's the deal. If you don't have that, you will not be able to get on an airline. You will not be able to get on any mass transit. You will not be able to get on Amtrak. You will not be able to go to a federal building like the I don't know if they're going to start checking at the courthouse or excuse me, at the post office. I don't know, but that's what they're intimating and things like that. You won't be able to go into a federal building, that I know, without a real ID. So they're starting to tighten things up, which they probably should have done many years ago. And I got my real ID maybe a year and a half ago. So, and I went right off this thing. You call me at my senior line, 330-5534, and I'll help you with that. Round some things up the way I did it. I found out real quick like that I only had a copy of my Social Security card. I didn't have an original copy, so I had to order a new Social Security card, which took a couple weeks to get. So don't delay, folks, because this thing's going to come right around the horn. So that's kind of the story here for Senior Talk today, and we never know about our tenure here in the world, so it's sometimes surprising to see others that you know and how much they have aged. And so have you, folks. So have I. So keep your home fires going, and remember, as seniors, we need to do what? We need to do all we can while we can, because we're coming around that fourth turn down there, and we don't want to leave any stone unturned. So as seniors, do all you can while you can, and I really appreciate your hanging on here listening to me today here on Senior Talk. If I've said anything to help you, that's the name of the game. So stay warm, stay out of trouble, and go Hawks and anything they want to pull off. By the way, I would tell you that they had a baseball game scheduled for yesterday here at Iowa at Banks Field. If you believe it or not, that is a true story. If it gets early next week, if it's warm, they might just have a baseball game over there in February. So believe it or not, that's the story. Spring training is open, all full speed ahead. Going to warm up. It'll be a nice warm day when we meet again next week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So long.
Your life is always changing, and a lot of things can affect how and what you save. So a good retirement plan